The Higher Education Loans Board, or HELB, is a statutory body that was established in July of 1995 by an Act of Parliament named Higher Education Loans Board Act. It is a state corporation that exists within the Ministry of Education. The Higher Education Loans Board is a means for those who cannot afford higher education costs to do so, in essence, by lending money to prospective students in tertiary institutions. Today, HELP has helped over 3 million people to achieve higher education in Kenya. This year alone, HELP is assisting over 500,000 students to pay their higher education fees. However, students who benefit from HELP and even students who do not benefit from it have been massively affected by the current inflated economy and are still having financial problems. Considering that currently, the average HELP amount disbursed to students has fallen from 47,000 shillings to 38,000 shillings. This has become a cause of concern, not just for students, but to every stakeholder and role player at large. With the new Cabinet Secretary for Education Ezekiel Machogu stating that the government of Kenya will remove the subsidies put on higher education school fees, the situation seems to be souring for students in tertiary institutions. And still, the worst is yet to come. In this documentary, we seek to understand the current financial situation of students in university. We are trying to understand how a normal university student is coping with the regressing Kenyan economy, and in essence, how HELP in itself is playing a part in all of this. Peter is a self-employed business person who has benefited from the HELP loan. He gives us his own story of how he has been paying back his HELP loan over a period of 6 years. In his words, he tells us that HELP is useful, but not many prospective university students are applying for it, and also, many beneficiaries are defaulting on their loans. He has gone through all the processes and he had this to say.
Well, Higher Education Loans Board was set up to help the less fortunate in the society to be able to acquire a university education. And as a beneficiary, it's important for all who've gone through it to be able at least repay, even if in small bits, the amount that they owe higher help. This is able to also factor in help those who are clearing high school and joining the university. It's also unfortunate that some who are able to are choosing not to, hoping there'll be a waiver so that they will never have to pay. But it's also important to note that without paying back what the society or the taxpayers contributed in your education, for you to be able to achieve your life's dream and your career, we will not be growing as a nation. With the amount increasing each and every year due to defaulters, it's only fair to appeal to those who benefited, including myself, and I've managed to be able to pay it over a period of time. It has not been easy, given that you have to balance between continue supporting your life and growing as an individual, and as well repaying the amount. I will ask those who've gone through the system to be able to lend a helping hand to those who are coming in through to the universities, given that they have to be in different universities. Some are public, some are private, but they are all beneficiaries entitled as Kenyans to the help. The last thing I would like to ask is that the Higher Education Board should also make it easier for people not only to repay and also get clearance certificate from them. This will encourage more people to quickly pay up what is owed to them without having to visit them physically, given the geographic location of the headquarter and the nation as at large. I'm a business person, and it's taken me close to 6 years to pay it up. Of course, with some default interest when I will not be able to continually pay every month as I'd hoped for. And sometimes it's discouraging, given that the amount you pay every month, they allow you to pay a minimum of 2,000, yet the fine for default is 10,000, which is quite discouraging for you to pay 5 months, default 1 month, and end up where you started by given a default notice of 10,000. I've been doing it willingly, although it wasn't continuous, as I've said, because I rely on business, and sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. So in cases where I was not able to meet up monthly payment with some gaps of 2 or 3 months, I'll find myself with default penalty of about 10,000, which it was like in 3 or 4 occasions, which is kind of discouraging when you want to clear it up and only to find yourself 6 months behind. It's never enough for everyone, but the little they did at least enabled me to be in school for the better part of my education.
As a student, you will encounter many business owners, some with motives of profit and others with motives of exploitation. However, no matter the instance, students will still end up coming across people selling things that they need to be able to survive or live. Lest we also forget, the Kenyan economy has affected each and everyone from every walks of life, and these businessmen and women are not any exception. These businessmen and women may include landlords, food vendors, cloth vendors, just to name a few. Gibson Muthura is a business vendor at the Technical University of Kenya. He sells electronic appliances, phone accessories, and even computer appliances within the school compound. Gibson gives us his own view and how the current economy is not just affecting him as a business person, but also the students he calls his customers.
I'm Gibson, a service provider at Tuk Student Center, dealing with phone accessories and electronics. I am not really sure about what brought about that lapse in the economy, but naweza sema tu haiko fiti because tangu watu waanze kucomplain about the economy, pia biz in a way ilishuka tu. Yani unapata, okay, yes, tunajua ni students na wako na maybe help, lakini purchasing power ina reduce. Alafu utapata if at all economy ni mbaya, inamaanisha mahali si tunaendea vitu, kuna vile prices upanda. At the moment imepanda, kuna vitu zingine ukiambia student ati hapana, hiki tu ulinunua 200 leo utanunua 300, haezi kubali. Haezi elewa kitu kaa hiyo. Atakata jua economy ni mbaya, haezi elewa kitu kaa hiyo. So huwa ina tend to affect the profit margin na vile mtu ujipanga vile huko umezoea. Yeah, so sometimes una tend to say kusustain your customers, lazima uchukue say ukue content na hiyo say profit kidogo yenye unapata at the time till vitu zirudi normal.
Gibson was also a student and a HELB beneficiary who has used his HELB money as capital to fund his electronic appliance business and to pay his fees when he was still in school.
So if at all your economy inani affect financially right now in a different say kind of scenario, tuseme kama mimi nikianza biz, tuseme that was in 2019 2019 ikiisha hivyo, ikianzia hapo hivyo 2018 ikiisha, hapo ilikuwa tu like okay, uko na pesa yako yes, but say help itakuboost pia. Juu kwanza biz pia si mchezo. Juu lazima pia wajua kitu watu waelewangi na biz si capital peke yake, but lazima uwe na ile pesa itakusustain before biz ishike. Yeah, so some help ina play some part in that, inani sustain mimi before biz ishike. Okay, nishaanza biz, yes, then nimeinvest pesa yangu, so help ina come in handy juu say at some point inalipanga fees na pia unaweza boost part ya fees. Juu sisi hatuwa tunalipa pesa mingi. Tulipa 20 alafu ulipiwe 4, unabaki na around 16. Yeah, hiyo si pesa mingi, so yeah, help ikiketa on that side of fees, alafu imekuboost pia time unajigrow ki-business. Hapo tuseme inaweza saidia if at all unajua how to manage your finances. Juu si ati ni kila mtu alianza business pesa yake ya HELB, yeah. So if at all uko na plan na hiyo pesa ya HELB, maybe inaweza kusaidia in a way. But kama hauna, tutapiga sherehe. Yeah. In my financial state, like sahi, juu nimemaliza shule, let's say last year. Yeah, now inafanga unaanza kulipa maybe after you've completed your studies, ndo. Na si ati kila mtu amemaliza ako job. So na mimi ninategemea biz kulipa, maybe kurepay. But currently in the current state of the economy itakuwa ngumu juu wakitutegemea ati tupate kazi permanent jobs, tutaendelea kuwa defaulters. Unajua vile tuko wengi za defaulters. So okay, na sikupenda nikiona hiyo pesa siwezi kata. Unajua ni mbaya sana ukidaiwa, but ukimaliza madeni ni hivyo, unamaliza hiyo story hivyo.
Lena Moti is a national youth leader, a student at the University of Nairobi, and the founder and host of the Roundtable magazine. She gives us an account of her life as a student and a business person who suffered the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. She also tells us that students now, after the pandemic, have had to prioritize their needs and forgo luxuries in order to survive and to continue studying in school.
In 2020, I started a small business as a student then, so I wanted a way to just get by, to be able to at least pay a little bills. And when I began, the business was doing well. At least I could get a little profit. I'd put food on the table. I would take care of the basic needs. But besides that, I would buy a dress. I could buy a shoe, I would walk into that milkshake bar and get that milkshake. And I was content. But in 2020, when COVID hit, and we all went to quarantine, I didn't know the future of my business. In 2021, there was hope. When the COVID had begun to go down and the economy had begun to go up, there was some hope, that I had. And I was like, just maybe I may be able to revive my business. But in 2022, things go harder. The Ukrainian war arises, and now things become tougher and tougher and tougher. And I'm just one out of a million students who don't know what to do. When COVID came, the education sector was knocked down. And now everyone is suffering in the education sector. The students, the parents, the teachers. How many universities have been closed at the moment or are on the verge of closing because of debt? So many universities. Even the government wants to include the HELB money into the private funding of the university so that the universities can give them to the students. But how is that going to set up? How is that going even to come forth? I mean, the universities are so hungry for money. Do you think that they will release the same to the students? That's more of like HELB saying bye-bye to the students. You can now take care of yourselves. To be a student in Kenya is a fight. And therefore, there needs to be a discussion in the education, a very, very deep discussion and clear strategy on how we are going to move during these harsh economical times.
The former student leader at the Technical University of Kenya, who is a beneficiary of the HELB loan. He is close to graduation and he gives us his own experience with the loan. In his own words, he also states how late the HELB loan was to many students and how it ended up affecting them and those around them financially. The former Secretary General explains to us the challenges and the benefits of the HELB loans to students.
My name is Boniface Moema Harrison. I am a student at the Technical University of Kenya. I used to serve as a student leader there in the capacity of the Secretary General. And my experience with HELB when I was a student, which still I am, is that it has greatly helped to pay my fees. A lot of money has been deposited to my account and I've paid fees with it. So my experience with the help has been a good one, despite for sometimes the delays that are occasioned there, and for the worry of if after the university now I will have to come back and start clearing. It's true. In many occasions, I triggered debates or talks about help, and this was because I was serving the students' interest. One of the things that really made me talk a lot was the delayed disbursement. We could move with fellow students to Anniversary Towers at the headquarters of the HELB, and we could have conversations with officials there. They could tell us now the treasury hasn't given us anything. We have the budgets that we paid were just on the recoveries that we made. So one observation is that the government is not very swift with depositing monies to help on time. The other challenge was just recently when the help benefit was cut, such that now diploma students will not be able to get help when they are in universities. They can only get help when they are in technical training institutions. And there's been a lot of conversations around if the amount should be increased and all that. But my view about help is generally that the disbursement and the payment to students' accounts should be punctual. It should not go beyond times when people are having examinations or when the students have just reported and help has taken a month without having been deposited. So my really the bigger point there is that help should be punctual to deposit monies to the students, because this is the amount of money that the students survive on. This is the money that the students pay fees on. Some students even start businesses. Some students even sustain their families' lives. So it's important for the government to prioritize the interests of students. And my advice to the students who go through hard life in the university is, one, understand basic financial management. Yeah, when you are in the university, you tend to floss a lot, to play around with money a lot. You get a 5,000 and the slogan of Sharia is applying all through. That should not be the case. Important basic financial management needs to be practiced at the university. Number two, seek side hustles. If there is a restaurant where you can serve part-time, I've seen students even from TUK who serve in restaurants, and definitely they are paid. Yeah, if you can get a place where you can do some job for some hours to sustain yourself, do not limit yourself because of school. Yeah, you need to adjust your schedule and understand now you are here fending for your sustainability, and so you have to do extra things. That is side hustles, businesses. If you can offer services, yeah, if you can clean places, if you can do things, do them. As long as it's legitimate business that can sustain you, do it. That's my take on the students who go through hard time and challenging economic situations.
Collins Ochieng, a third-year engineering student at the Technical University of Kenya, gave us his overall perspective on what he thinks is going on with the current Kenyan economy and how it has affected his life as a student. Collins applied for the HELB loan, but his bid was rejected by the board.
I'm Collins Ochieng, a third-year student at the Technical University of Kenya, currently pursuing a degree in engineering. The economy of this country, I might say, it's on its knees. People cannot afford food, citizens cannot afford transport, citizens cannot afford to take their children to school due to lack of fees. Generally, the country is broke. So the economy is not that good. That is what I can actually say.
According to Collins, even purchasing simple necessities such as food, clothes, And even toiletries is becoming a struggle as their prices are getting hiked as the days go by.
As a student, the economy has affected me in a negative way, in a way that sometimes when I try to board a matatu from home to school, I find that the fares have hiked due to bad economy. This making me to dig deeper into my pockets, maybe even possibly using my lunch money to facilitate my transport from home to school and also from school to home. Also, the economy has also affected me as a student in a way that I cannot afford to buy some learning materials. Let's say example, calculators, project materials, my personal effects. I cannot purchase. Like 2 years ago, I used to purchase socks, a pair of socks at a cheaper price. But nowadays, it's hard for me. I cannot afford to purchase like clothes for classes. It's hard for me. Generally, the economy is not that good, and the government should do something about it. I did apply help, but it was relatively tiresome. The process, the finding signatures in different offices, in different people, and also after maybe completing the process, I was not one of the beneficiary of help. After the disbursement of help, my name was not among the list. But I wish I was among the students who are now enjoying the benefits of help. Juu help ingenisaidia sana, by the way. Ingenisaidia sekta transport, ingenisaidia sekta ya kubuy learning materials, na pia ingenisaidia niseme business, maybe I'd start a business rather on my own yenye ingeniingiza some coins ama shillings, but nimefind it hard juu after kuapply help still sikuweza kuwa beneficiary. Like I was heartbroken.
Jack is a graduate student with ambitions to make it in the job market. However, he has less than 2 years to start paying back the loan he was granted by HELB to accomplish his studies. The job market, in contrast, is not an easy ocean to swim in. Thus, many graduates end up tammacking for a while before they even land their first successful interview and subsequently a paying job.
While at the university, I used the HELB education loan to pay my school fees, that is from second year to fourth year. A total amount of like 40,000 went to my school fees. It did help a lot because my parents weren't able to pay my school fees, so it added as a bonus in settling my tuition fee. The amount that went to my personal account, bank account, I used to settle my accommodations and a little bit of my other living expenses like buying food, buying clothing. On the challenges while repaying the loan is that there's a huge penalty that is made on the individuals who are late to pay the loan. Hence, you find that maybe it cannot be your problem that you haven't got a job, because HELB gives like a period of 2 years and then you repay the loan back. But sometimes you find that one might be unlucky to get a job. It might take like more than 2 years while you're still jobless, because the job market is kind of not appealing to everyone. So you find that after 2 years, the help guys start to accrue their penalties. So while you're repaying back the loan, it finds that you're not paying the amount that you borrowed, but you're actually paying double, which is kind of stressful and most obviously disappointing. Then you find that another challenge is that there's no formal agreement between the loanee and the organization on the amount to be deducted on their salaries. You find that HELB deducts a percentage, the percentage that they want, that's what they deduct according to the salary that you earn. but there's nothing like a formal agreement between the two parties, like let's deduct this, I'm okay, I'm comfortable with this. No, there's a percentage being deducted. It doesn't matter whether you're comfortable or you're not.
To add on that, the higher education loans board themselves tend to deduct the money you owe them directly from your salary. This is a very grey area, and it is an issue that has brought about concern with those who are repaying their loans. Those who default are not spared either, and it becomes a legal affair involving penalties upwards of 10,000 shillings if you default for a month, and in very rare cases, even jail terms. Hilary Kipkemoi is a journalist by profession and a graduate from the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. He was a HELB loan beneficiary who also had support from his parents. He is currently unemployed, but he has sights on paying back his HELB loan. Considering how the economy is and the lack of jobs in the market, he tells us more on what he thinks on the HELB loan.
My name is Hilary Kipkemoi. I'm a journalist by profession and a graduate from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Currently, I practice farming here at home. In terms of help, I can say it played a key role in my life, though it wasn't enough, but it supported me well and it made me who I am today. Apart from help, I had also support from my parents, who played a key role because they earn their income through farming, and they supported me well to ensure that I pursue my career well. Currently, I'm not employed, and that's the biggest challenge in terms of repaying back the loan. I wish to pay back the loan because I know there are others who are in need. The way I was in need, they are also in need, and I know it will help them. However, sometimes when I get money, I pay. I had given myself a target of every month, but the challenge is getting money because of the current situation in the country today. The economy is so tough. In terms of my opinion as a professional, I will say that comrades are suffering so much because I have also relatives, I have friends who are currently pursuing their careers, and I know the challenge is the cost of living is high now, and it makes them not to actually practice their career as well because the money they are getting from help are not enough, and also the money in terms of what their parents are providing for them are not enough. So something that needs to be done because the comrades are suffering.
Dr. Okech Kendo is a lecturer at the Technical University of Kenya, and he is also a columnist at the Star newspaper. He had this to say to us of the current state of the economy and how it has affected students in his classes.
The economy is in a terribly bad situation. Actually, it is headed downwards. We are in a hole. The cost of living is so high that many people cannot cope. You can see the prices of commodities and the increase in crime. These are directly related to the state of the economy. And there seems to be no direction of how to turn it around. So we can no longer blame the oil or the cost of fuel, cost of energy, or even weather. We need to have planned better for this. But the government, as it is now, does not seem interested. You see them running around with relief food. That's not a solution. It requires better planning moving forward. HELB is a relief for students, for needy students. Actually, it has been stagnant for a long time. It is important to increase it because the demand is rising. The cost of education is also rising. So it should be increased. But we can also say that people who are beneficiaries should also be able to repay their loans in time. especially those who are already in employment, so that others also can gain from the same kitty.
There are so many cases of which students and graduates end up regretting why they took the loan in the first place. If it is a matter of principle or not, the question remains, is the HELB loan worth it? In this modern day and age where the economy keeps on regressing every single day and necessities prices keep rising, are students benefiting from the loan in the end? Is it worth it having a loan to pay back immediately after graduating from university? Even so, is HELB doing a service or a disservice to their beneficiaries as they start paying back their loans? As a result, the loan will always draw praise and criticism in equal measure, and even as government teases the removal of subsidies on university fees, it is an aspect of higher education life that will play a part in the lives of higher education students for ages to come.